Well, imagine you're a Marine serving in Afghanistan. Sounds pretty hairy, I know. Then imagine you get home and the first thing you do is take off on a cross-country tour to raise awareness and money for a charity that many of us really don't know that much about. That's what Marine Sergeant Winston Fuhr is doing these days.
Right now, a buddy of mine and I are on a 5,000-mile motorcycle trip across the U.S. to kind of get the word out about the actual 5,000-mile hike, which will take place through Southeast Asia, kicking off in September. So we started in Los Angeles July 6th and have just been heading west since there. Just got into Baton Rouge last night, and we'll be headed for New Orleans here on Saturday. And I've just been trying to raise some awareness and funds by speaking at service organizations like Rotary and Kiwanis along the way before I hope we have my feet on the ground in Singapore by late September.
You're not riding your bike to Singapore, are you?
Yeah, no, not quite. That would be nice. No, that'll be entirely on foot, and it's a 5,000-mile year-long hike that I'll be heading on by myself to raise money for the International Children's Surgical Foundation, which is a charity that provides free cleft lip and palate surgeries in the developing world.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about how you got involved in this particular charity. You know, when you think of ways that people can volunteer their time or more specifically give their money, this is not a cause that automatically leaps to mind. What is it about this that spoke to you?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Good question. It all started in Senegal, actually, in 2007. I deployed there for a couple of weeks with my reserve battalion, 2nd Battalion, 25th Marines out of New York. To train alongside the Senegalese commandos. And it was my first time in Africa, first time in the developing world. And a lot of the local customs and the culture shock that happened made me realize how little of the world I had seen. So I decided I wanted to dedicate a year to exploring a part of the world I hadn't been to before. But at the same time, a lot of the poverty that I witnessed made me want to kind of tie in something that would help out in the developing world. And clefts are a really big deal in the developing world. It hits a lot of these families really hard to where such a small amount of money, relatively small amount of money for us, $240 is all it takes, and as well as a couple hours of a surgeon's time to completely turn these kids' lives around. And $240 is an amount of money that is out of reach for a lot of these kids, a lot of these families. These kids can't eat properly, they can't speak properly, they can't hear properly. Not to mention all the social complications that go along with having a cleft. So I wanted to kind of touch me and made me want to do something to help these kids out.
Yeah, I'm wondering, and I know you may not have any numbers on this, I imagine you probably don't, but is this a bigger problem in that part of the world than it is here back home?
No, it's a very common birth defect worldwide. So it affects 1 or 2 of every 1,000 kids. But again, here in the States, most kids undergo surgery within their first 12 to 18 months, and as well as, they have follow-on surgeries and that sort of thing. Insurance pays for it. It's usually not a problem. But in the developing world, these kids go through their entire adult lives with a cleft, because they can't afford the couple-hour surgery that's necessary to correct it.
We're speaking today with Marine Sergeant Winston Fuhr about the event that he's doing, the traveling that he's doing across the United States. It'll eventually take him across the big ocean as well. It's called Smile Trek. What he's doing is embarking on a 5,000-mile hike to try to raise money for International Children's Surgical Foundation, a charity that serves children living with clefts. And I think you're right, Winston. We don't see a lot of children in the States with this, I suppose, because it gets corrected early on. But I've seen pictures. I think most of us have seen pictures of these kids, and your heart just has to go out to them because as a kid, you're self-conscious enough. Kids always think that they're being picked on and talked about and that sort of thing. But when you have such an obvious physical deformity, a birth defect like that, it's got to make life much more difficult than it needs to be.
No, that's exactly right. It can be hard enough for some kids to make friends, on the playground as it is, without a facial deformity. But when you've got this huge, gap on your face, it's nearly impossible to lead a normal social life, for sure.
All right, as you look down the line with some of this, your travels, as we said, taking you across the states, and then you're going to be traveling overseas as well to try to raise money for this. What kind of reaction have you gotten so far?
People have been really helpful. I mean, like I said, a lot of these clubs have taken me in and have invited me to present at their weekly meetings, which has been huge in raising funds and awareness as well. People have put us up in their homes. We haven't paid a single dime on lodging yet. So we've been able to just kind of stay in people's homes for a couple of days while we're in their city before we move on to the next. So yeah, there's a lot of positive energy for sure.
All right, and if people would like to find out more information about it, exactly who you are, what you're doing, and about this charity in particular, how do they do that?
You just want to go to SmileTrek, all one word, .org. SmileTrek.org. That's the hub for the entire project. So from there, you can follow our progress across the states. You can follow my progress across Southeast Asia. When I get there in September, you can make a donation. I do want to make sure people know that 100% of the donations go towards the surgeries, go to the charity. I don't touch any of the money. As far as living expenses go, I've got more than enough that I saved up from my time in Afghanistan to get me through a year in Southeast Asia, because I didn't have too many expenses in Afghanistan. So, people can know that to make a donation, it's going straight to the charity.
Yeah, I'd like to spend the remaining minute or so that we have talking a little bit about your service in Afghanistan. How long were you over there, and what were your impressions when you returned?
So I was over there for 7 months. Got there late August, got back late March. I personally, as the ammo chief for the battalion, didn't really spend any time off the base. We were based at one of the larger bases, logistical hubs for the country. But I can tell you from what I've seen, from the way it was just on the base and the way it was 7 months later, a lot of construction going on for sure. I mean, there weren't any permanent structures for the most part when we got there. No real tents, no paved roads. And I can tell you, in 7 months, that base did a 180. I mean, you're talking half the roads were already paved, all sorts of permanent structures were erected, and lots and lots of construction going on.
Did you have any interaction with the natives there?
I spent some time checking trucks, so I got to interact with some of the local Pakistani, Afghani truck drivers. But other than that, no, not really. And
I don't know if people who were working on trucks and so forth are necessarily representative of the whole country, but what were your impressions of them? Are they were they happy that we're there? I mean, not that it matters. I mean, obviously we have to be there. Anyone who remembers 9/11 would have to agree with that. Iraq may be a different story; it's a little more political, but Afghanistan, that's where it all began. What do those people have to say to you?
Well, they're certainly happy to have a job as a truck driver. They're well compensated for the drive that they make from Pakistan and Afghanistan with our supplies. As far as our occupation of the country, I can't tell. I don't know. I don't know exactly what their impression is. Definitely happy to have a job, and happy whenever they got to spend time on base, because it was certainly a lot nicer on our American base than it was a couple of miles, around it in the shanty towns. So,
yeah, I guess in that sense they're not that much different than us. Just happy to have a job. That's
Yeah.
At the end of the day, everybody's just trying to put food on their family's table, I guess. All right, and again, the website is SmileTrek, SmileTrek.org, correct?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we've been speaking today with Marine Sergeant Winston Fuhr. And Sergeant, thanks for your time today.